Hello to you and thank you for watching my video. As always, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or would like me to cover something in greater depth or cover something I have not, please put it into the comments. Today I'm going to go over the issue of adding many users to PHP IPAM. By many, I mean more than 10 or 15. As you already know, if you want to add users to PHP IPAM, you have to do it one at a time. But if you have a lot of users who are all relatively the same except for the user ID, which is, or the ID field, obviously, and they going to be different names and email addresses, you can use Notepad and a few clicks to build this out. So before we get too far in, I would suggest that you make a test server to practice this process a few times of exporting and importing, and also to build and use this to build your template. To do this, you'll need a few things installed on your server. You'll need PHP IPAM and related software on Rocky Linux 9, and you'll also need to install something called PHP My Admin. This is a graphical tool to allow you to look into your server and your database more specifically, and in this case PHP IPAM, because that's what we will be working with. I know there are other ways to do this from the command line. However, I felt that with a graphical interface, this would be the easiest way for and hit the broadest possible audience. I'm sorry. So let's get into the PHP IPAM database. The table that we're going to look at is called the users table. In here, this is where the users are held. There, as you can see here, we have, X Miller, T Jones, P Jones. If I go over here to our users, you'll see I have, the admin, so on and so forth, T Jones, X Miller. If we look at a user field or user table, you'll see that there's an authentication method, an ID. This is the ID for the database, groups, the role of the user. So this user is a user, their real name, their email address, some fields, right? When they last logged in, module permissions. We covered this in another video. So let's go back to here to PHP IPAM. Now, in PHP IPAM, what we kind of want to do is create our basic user, our template user. And so to do that, I'm going to copy and paste in some fields and their username and their email address. Obviously, we want them to be enabled. Now I'm going to make normal users, but it could be an admin. I'm going to make them an AD user, so that was that 8 field. We can manipulate the language, so we can set it where all the users must get the mail state changes. We're going to add these groups. And then for the module permissions, I'm going to leave VLAN no access, L2 domains read, write for VRF, and admin. Remember, these fields must be set at the section level for access, so you must also correlate that. Now I'm going to hit add, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm actually going to refresh the user table, and hopefully my Y Miller shows up. She did. Okay, so let's edit. Now, remember, there's this unique ID field that we must create. So there's the username, it's AD, there's no password. So this know is that checkbox, the groups, and we can check some of this stuff. Here's the groups, right? 10, 11, 12, and 13 in the user groups table. Um, the language setting, I believe, is, I forget, there it is. Language is 1. So then if you want to do language, it's this table here, lang, and you'll see 1 is English, and if you wanted to do Italian and whatnot. So let's go back to the user. And so now I want to show you how to export this. So I'm going to export Y Miller. I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to hit the export, and then I'm going to hit the CSV, or select the CSV as the format, and I'm just going to keep everything default, and then I'm going to export it. And now I am going to open that, but give me 1 second. So here is the file, right? I exported it, and now I opened it with Notepad++. Now the reason I'm using Notepad++ is because I've found problems trying to do this in Excel. Now there's really only LibreOffice, so you can try, but I racked my brain and I couldn't do it, and I can do it very easily in here. So the first thing, I don't really need the top of the top line here, which is the header row, right? All I need is the user row. So what I'm going to do is copy this, and there's just a few fields that we need to modify. The first one, so this is our source. The first thing I need to do is, let's copy this a few times, right? So I need to create a unique field, ID field, for the database. Otherwise, you'll just override them. So this is the first area over here you need to modify. The next area is this area, right? So let's make a new person. We'll call it Y Smith, S Smith. Make sure I do this correctly. B Smith and P Smith, right? So we're going to leave the authentication method, the groups, they're all users. Now we got to give them a name. So first I want to change the email address. So I'm going to copy and paste over here. And then I'm going to, now obviously you could do like a CSV merge, right? And change this one. And one last one. Right, so I only have one other field to modify, which we'll call this field, we'll call this and let's see, we'll make this Paul. Right, so we have our new users. This is our source user, so we don't need him or her, sorry. And now we're pretty much ready to go. We've got the file, our template. We're not making any other changes, and I'm just going to hit save. And let me get this imported. So to import this, we want to go here to our server, and then we want to go to the import tab, and then in here we will grab the file. And as you can see, I have the file here. Now we want to make sure the format is CSV, and then we want to hit the import button. And if we did everything right, we should see 4 rows inserted. If we go to the users, or back to users, there's our P Smith, our S Smith, um, our Y Miller that we already had, our Y Smith. And if we go into one of the Smiths, we should see the groups, right? No password, their user, their Sam Smith, so on and so forth. We'll see the mail notify is still there, and 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so if we go back to if we go, I had to close that, sorry. If we go back to PHP IPAM, there's D Smith, P Smith, S Smith, and Y Smith. And all the settings are, as you can see, very similar to our source. So with all of that in mind, let's take a look at one of these users. We'll use this one. And on the detail, you'll see that they're there. Now, if you needed to do further customization, right, you could either go in here or you could go to the database, right? So I hope that this made it at least a little easier, or at least opened your mind on how to do this. I want to thank you for watching my video on adding many users to PHP IPAM, and always please like and subscribe and add some comments of what you liked or what else you would like me to cover. Thank you and have a great day.